Opening chapter. You're stronger than you think. You just never stop to realize it. Have you ever felt like you're running endlessly without really knowing where you're headed? You try every day, wake up on time, work hard, smile when you don't feel like smiling. But deep inside, there's this emptiness. You don't know what you're doing it all for, who it's for, or whether it's even worth it. You're not alone. This is the pain of our times. We live in a world where personal worth is measured in likes, performance ratings, in whether or not we can keep up with everyone else. You open social media and see others, more successful, more attractive, more capable, and suddenly you feel small, outdated, like you're always one step short of being enough. No one taught you how to deal with that. No one told you that sometimes you don't have to be better than anyone. You just need to be better than the person you were yesterday. The problem isn't out there in the world, it's inside you. And there's a philosophy that understood this over 2,000 years ago, long before smartphones, open offices, or the quarter-life crisis. It's called Stoicism. It sounds rigid, maybe even cold, but in truth, Stoicism is a map for living, a guide for those who want to stand firm in chaos, who want peace without needing to escape from life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful emperors of Rome, wrote in his journal every morning, "Today I may meet the ignorant, the greedy, the betrayer, but I will not let them distort who I am." He didn't write this to sound noble. He wrote it to remind himself, peace comes from within, not from making the world perfect. And Epictetus, a slave who endured abuse all through childhood, became the man who taught Rome's elite how to master their lives. You cannot control the world, but you can absolutely control your response to it. That is real strength, the strength you've forgotten you already have. You are not weak. You just were never taught how to look inward. You are not incapable. You're just living by standards someone else set for you. You are not less than anyone. You're just using society's measuring stick to judge a life that was never meant to be measured that way. Stoicism doesn't ask you to become a saint. It only asks you one thing. Can you live better than you did yesterday, even by 1%? And if you can do that every day, you've already succeeded more than most. Those who live only to be validated, but never truly live as themselves. Be your best today, not to prove anything, but to remember no one is better than you when you're the best version of yourself. Part 1, the greatest battle is within. The Stoics knew this long before our time. Have you ever looked at someone, successful, calm, resilient, and wondered, how do they have such control over their life? Maybe you thought they were born with talent, luck, or better circumstances. But the truth is different. Many of the strongest people you've ever met are fighting, but not the world. They're fighting themselves. Rome, 2nd century. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the mighty Roman Empire, could have anyone executed with a single nod. But every night, under the dim lights of his palace, he would lower his head and write in his notebook, "The real enemy isn't out there. It's the desire, the anger, and the ego within." Beneath that armor of power was a man constantly observing, examining himself. Every day he didn't battle foreign enemies. He battled his inner impulses, pride, impulsiveness, greed. Your modern world is no different. You don't need to carry a sword like an emperor, but you're still in a battlefield, and the most dangerous enemy is the lazy, impatient, easily discouraged version of you from yesterday. Have you ever delayed something important just because you didn't feel ready? Have you ever scrolled endlessly just to avoid facing the emptiness inside? Have you ever compared yourself to others, then quietly concluded, I'm not good enough? Those are battles. No bullets, no blood, but they wear you down, silently. The Stoics understood this long before our time. They didn't teach us how to defeat others. They taught us how to master ourselves. Epictetus once said, you could conquer the world, but if you cannot conquer yourself, you are still a failure. In Stoic thought, real success isn't found in fame or achievements, but in your ability to live with reason, integrity, and emotional control. So how do you win against yourself? No need for grand strategies. Just start with one simple practice, what the Stoics called daily self-examination. At the end of the day, ask yourself, how did I react when something upset me today? Were there moments I got swept away by negative emotions? Was there anything I could have done better? Write it down, not to shame yourself, but to recognize where you are and how you can move forward. Today's victory doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be as simple as meditating for 5 minutes instead of grabbing your phone, saying one sentence less when you're angry, writing down your thoughts instead of judging yourself. That's progress. That's one step forward. No one needs to know. No applause required, because the Stoic wins in silence, not under the spotlight, but in truth. Victory is not about glory. Victory is when you master yourself. Marcus Aurelius. Today, don't try to be better than someone else. Just be better than who you were yesterday, and that's enough. The part 2, when your mind is the enemy, and how Stoicism turns it into an ally. You wake up one morning, and before your feet even touch the floor, a voice rises in your head. Today's going to be as bad as yesterday. I'm not good enough. I'm definitely going to screw this up. The strange part is, nothing has even happened yet, but your day has already started with fatigue, anxiety, and that dull feeling of not being enough. Not because the world has knocked you down, but because your own mind has pulled you under. Welcome to the quietest war every human fights. The battle inside your own head, not against others, not against your situation, but you and the untrained thoughts that hold you hostage. The Stoics understood this better than any other philosophy. They didn't see the mind as a default gift. They saw it as a tool, one that must be trained like a muscle. Epictetus, a slave who became a philosopher, once said, "We are not disturbed by what happens, but by our thoughts about what happens." The anxiety you carry doesn't come from the future. It comes from the assumptions you've created in your head. The fear you feel doesn't come from reality. It comes from a chain of imagined worst-case scenarios. Seneca said it best. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. So what do you do when your own mind turns against you? You can't kill it. You can't force yourself to just stop thinking. What the Stoics did was turn the mind into an ally. The first step, realize you are not your thoughts. Picture your mind as a wild horse. If you let it run free, it'll drag you everywhere, crash into trees, fall into pits. But if you learn to hold the reins, you can steer it, guide it, lead it where you need to go. Marcus Aurelius, a man who led an empire, reminded himself every morning, the mind is a fortress. No one can enter unless you open the gate from within. Meaning, no one can hurt you mentally unless you allow it to happen inside your own head. Here are 3 steps to train your mind the Stoic way. 1. Observe every time a negative thought appears. Pause and ask, is this thought true? Do I have proof? If my best friend thought this, what would I say to them? 2. Name the emotion or thought. This is fear. This is insecurity. This is imagination. Once you name it, it stops controlling you. 3. Reframe. Instead of thinking, I'm going to fail, try, this is a chance to learn something. Instead of, I'm not good enough, say, I'm training to be better every day. Here's a sentence you can say to yourself every morning. I don't control everything, but I control how I think. Repeat it, just like Marcus Aurelius did, not to comfort yourself, but to direct your mind. No one is born with a strong mind. The mind is a muscle. If you don't train it, it'll turn weak and turn on you. But if you do train it, it becomes the strongest weapon you'll ever have. You don't need to silence the mind. You just need to befriend it. The Stoics didn't try to shut their thoughts down. They learned to listen, to steer, and then to make the mind serve reason, not emotion. He who does not master his mind will be its slave. Epictetus. And today you can begin with one simple shift. Instead of believing every thought you have, learn to question it first. You'll discover there is a clarity within you that you've never fully tapped into. To part 3, quiet consistency, the Stoic's ultimate weapon. Have you ever had one of those days that just felt right? You woke up early, played a piece of music that stirred something in you, sipped hot coffee, read a few lines from a good book, and suddenly you felt like you could do anything. But then, a few days later, you wake up feeling flat, heavy, everything feels off. All those habits you were building dissolve like they never existed. Welcome to the real world of being human, where motivation is just a guest that comes and goes. And discipline, that's what you need to keep. The Stoics didn't rely on inspiration. They believed in repetition, and that's why they stood firm, even when the world around them fell apart. Imagine a blacksmith. He hammers steel every day, not because he's feeling inspired, but because he knows if he stops, the sword won't take shape. No applause, no audience, just the echo of repetition, the sound of steadfastness. That's the spirit Marcus Aurelius captured in his meditations. Do not act as if you are going to live forever. Every day is a life complete. Don't waste it. He didn't write that to lecture others. He wrote it to remind himself every morning. Today is my final chance to shape my character, so I must act, whether I feel like it or not. Why do most people fail to keep habits alive? Because they think, I'll do it when I feel like it. But feelings are unstable. Inspiration is a breeze. One small obstacle, and it's gone. The Stoics knew that, so they chose a different path. Discipline. Epictetus told his students, you want to be excellent, then begin and persist, even when you don't see progress. In Stoic philosophy, consistency means doing the small, right things every day without needing a reminder, without needing a reward. No need to post a story every morning. No need for others to validate you. You just need to keep your promise to yourself. 3 ways to build Stoic discipline. 1. Make small, solid commitments. Don't say, I'll read 30 pages a day. Start with 5. It's not about the number. It's about building consistency. 2. Tie actions to identity. Don't say, I'm trying to write. Say, I'm a writer. And writers write regardless of inspiration. Marcus Aurelius didn't call himself emperor. He called himself a practitioner of reason, and he lived like it. Third, track repetition, not big results. Every time you stick to a habit, mark it down on a calendar, a notebook, a symbol. Look back after a week, a month. You'll see. Power lies not in intensity, but in not giving up. Seneca said, "While you are waiting to begin living, life has already passed you by." You don't need motivation to live well. You just need enough commitment to keep moving, even when no one's watching, even when you're not sure if you're getting it right. Because the truth is, every great transformation begins with small, steady steps. If today you can, write one more paragraph, train for 10 more minutes, sit in silence for 3 minutes without scrolling, then you've forged another piece of steel in your inner armor. You're building a strength no one can take from you. Quiet consistency. So part 4. Comparison is poison. The wise don't look sideways. Have you ever felt fine until you open social media? A normal morning. You wake up, make your coffee, feel in control of your life. But then, with one swipe, you see someone checking in from Paris, signing a new contract, or showing off the perfect body from their 30-day life makeover. Suddenly, everything you're doing feels small, pointless. You didn't change a thing, but your mood sinks like a stone because you just drank the most subtle poison of our time, comparison. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. And don't waste energy on what others do, think, or say. Focus on what you can do with reason and virtue." The Stoics didn't live to outdo anyone. They lived not to lose themselves. Comparison is a quiet form of self-torture. It makes you forget that every person starts from a different place, carries a different burden, and walks a path entirely their own. You compare chapter 3 of your life to chapter 20 of theirs, and call yourself a failure, but you forget someone may be ahead in one thing, but no one can be better than you at being you. Imagine a marathon runner. He's running at his pace, following his strategy, tuned into his own breath. But the moment he glances sideways to check others' speed, he loses focus, breaks stride, runs out of breath. Comparison doesn't make you faster. It only pulls you off your own track. Epictetus once warned, "You want to make progress? Then stop looking at others. Look at where you are still falling short." The Stoics never saw themselves as products to compare, but as projects under construction, and no two buildings use the same blueprint, nor rise at the same pace. So how do you break free from the cycle of comparison? You don't have to log off forever. You just need to turn your attention inward, not outward. Here are 3 Stoic ways to train the mind away from comparison. 1. Practice self-contrast instead of other contrast. Each day ask, am I doing better than I did yesterday? If yes, even just eating healthier or managing your emotions better, you've already won. Second journal, where am I improving? Spend 5 minutes at the end of the day writing one small thing you did well, one thing that's not perfect, but you're improving. When you see your own progress, you stop obsessing over someone else's. 3. Change your inner language. Instead of, they're better than me, try, they're on a different path, and I'm learning how to walk mine. No need to put anyone down. No need to boost yourself up. Just be fair to yourself. Seneca once said, "He who cannot be happy with himself will not be happy with what belongs to others." And you know it's true. You've gotten things you once envied, and yet the feeling didn't last. Because real happiness doesn't come from being ahead of someone. It comes from no longer needing to compare. The wise don't look sideways. They look within, because that's the only place the real answers live. Part 5. The perfect moment doesn't exist, and the Stoics never waited for it. How many times have you thought, I'll start when I'm ready, when I have more money, more time, a better mood, when I'm less busy, but somehow that someday never arrives, and you stay in the same place with unfinished plans, dreams on hold, and a quiet guilt for letting time slip by. We live as if a perfect tomorrow is always just ahead, but the Stoics knew waiting for the right time is a dangerous illusion. Marcus Aurelius, the busiest man of the ancient world, once wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live forever. Each day is a separate life. Live it with dignity." Do you think he had free time? He didn't. He wrote meditations in a war tent while Rome was in chaos. But because he didn't wait for peace, didn't wait for comfort, because he chose to act in imperfection, that's how he stayed calm in crisis. The perfect time doesn't exist. There's only the moment you choose to begin. Picture yourself standing at the edge of the sea. You know you need to swim, but you keep waiting for calm water, warm sun, no one watching, the right mindset. And so you stay on the shore, while someone else, scared under gray skies, jumps in anyway and learns to float. Epictetus told his students, "You want to be strong? Act now. Waiting for perfection is just a well-decorated excuse." And it's true. Not ready is often just a polished version of procrastination. You're not lacking the right conditions. You're lacking the courage to begin without them. The Stoics lived by action, not by waiting, not because they were cold or robotic, but because they knew. Life doesn't ask your permission before it happens. And if you don't step forward today, you'll still be the person standing outside your own life. Here are 3 ways to train the mind to act without waiting for the perfect moment. 1. Practice minimum daily action. Want to write a book? Write 5 lines today, even if you're tired. Want to get in shape? Walk for 10 minutes instead of waiting until you have time for the gym. The rule, small actions, done consistently, beat grand plans that never begin. 2. Ask yourself, if today were my last day, would I still do this? This is the question Marcus Aurelius used every morning to decide what mattered. If the answer is yes, do it, even if the conditions aren't perfect. If the answer is no, let it go. Don't delay and don't pretend. 3. Change your language from "I will" to "I am." Instead of "I will learn to meditate," I am learning to sit in silence each morning. Language shapes reality. When you speak like someone already doing the thing, you slowly become that person, steadily but surely. Seneca once said, "While we wait to live, life slips by." You don't need peace to learn resilience. You learn resilience in the storm. You don't need confidence to take the step. You take the step and realize you were braver than you thought. The Stoics never waited for everything to be right. They did what needed to be done with what they had. And that's the reminder you can carry with you today. Today isn't perfect, but it's the only day I know I have. So I begin. Part 6. You are not a replica of expectations. Don't let others' words cage. Have you ever felt like you're living a life that doesn't fully belong to you? A decision you made, but only because your family hoped you would. A career you're pursuing because society considers it prestigious. A lifestyle you're forcing yourself to follow simply because they say it's the right one. Sometimes you don't need a prison to be locked up. Just enough comments, enough glances, enough silent expectations from others, and you'll build the cage yourself. And the cruelest part? You stop daring to ask what you really want. Seneca once said, "As long as you live to please the crowd, you will never master yourself." And he was right. We are taught from an early age to do what's right, be agreeable, don't upset anyone. But few ever teach us how to live truthfully, how to face ourselves, to ask, who am I? What do I need? And how do I want to live? Picture a foggy mirror. You look into it every day, but all you see are the labels others have stuck onto it. You should study this. You have to be successful like that person. Don't do anything weird. People will laugh. Eventually, you start to believe that's who you are and forget that beneath it all, there's a raw, strong, one-of-a-kind version of you, buried but not gone. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the Roman Empire, wrote to himself, "Care not for what others think. They have their right to their opinion. You have the right to live your truth." We cannot control other people's thoughts, but we can choose not to live according to them. So how do you live like a Stoic in a world that's always expecting something from you? Here are 3 specific actions to stop letting others' voices imprison you. 1. Identify your core values. What matters most to you? Freedom, honesty, creativity. Write down 3 core values you deeply believe in. Every time you face a choice between 2 paths, choose the one that aligns with your values, not because others will understand, but because you do. 2. Remember, opinions are wind. You are the mountain. When someone says, "You're wrong, you're not good enough, you'll never succeed," say in your mind, "Thanks for the opinion, but that's your world. I'm building mine." If your foundation is steady, no wind can shake you. 3. Practice living without permission. Once a week, do something you've always wanted to, but usually avoid because of what people might think. Go out to eat alone. Post something deeply personal. Start the project you believe in, even if no one else gets it. It's not just an act. It's a reclaiming of your right to live freely. Epictetus once said, "If you expect everyone to understand and accept you, you've already surrendered your life to them. No one but you has to live with the outcome of your choices. So don't live as a replica of expectations. Live as the one and only version of yourself. Because when you live authentically, your presence says everything. No shouting, no proving. Just calm, depth, and freedom. Like a Stoic, in the middle of the world's noise." Part 7. You are not other people's opinions. Freedom begins within. If tomorrow the whole world turned its back on you, would you still know your worth? A confronting question. But be honest. How many times have you done something not because you believed in it, but simply to please others? You wore something not because you liked it, but because it fit their style. You chose a job not because it fit you, but because they said that's success. You stayed silent, not because you were kind, but because you were afraid of upsetting someone. And slowly, bit by bit, you traded your inner freedom for external approval. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What must I do to live rightly? Not to please them, but to be true to my nature, with reason, integrity, and dignity." The Stoics understood this deeply. Your worth doesn't come from what others think of you. It comes from what you choose to be. Imagine a bird trapped in a glass cage. People come to admire it, compliment it, take photos, applaud. It is adored, but it no longer knows it can fly. That is you when you live inside others' expectations. You think, As long as they think I'm good, I'll feel good. But strangely, the more you try to please everyone, the more empty you feel, because no one can give you value if you don't first claim it yourself. Epictetus said, "No one can make you feel inferior unless you allow them to." And that's the truth. People can say anything, but the power to believe always lies with you. The Stoics didn't live for applause. They lived not to betray themselves. That doesn't mean they were arrogant or indifferent. Quite the opposite. They were deeply humble, but they drew a clear line. I respect others, but I don't change my values just to please their gaze. 3 ways to build freedom from others' opinions. The Stoic way. 1. Write down your locus of control. Whenever you feel shaken by criticism or praise, note, what can I control? My actions, my reactions. What can't I control? Their thoughts, their words. See this clearly, and you'll feel steadier. 2. Ask, if no one knew, would I still do this? This question cuts through every illusion. If the answer is no, maybe you're acting for show, not from truth. If the answer is yes, keep going, even if no one supports you. 3. Practice selective ignorance. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Seneca advised, the voices of others are echoes. Don't let them drown out your own. Learn to listen to yourself first, and only then consider others. You are not a score, a title, or a comment. You are your daily actions, the values you live, and the truths you'll defend, even if you're the last one standing. The Stoics didn't fight judgment. They became immune to it because they defined themselves from within. And true freedom begins the moment you no longer need anyone's approval to know you are enough. Part 8. Acceptance. Not surrender, but the highest wisdom of the strong. Have you ever wrestled with something you couldn't change, yet still couldn't let go? A relationship that ended, an opportunity that slipped away, a pain that never came with an explanation. You know deep down that it no longer belongs to you. It's outside your control. But your mind stays trapped in why, what if only. You think, maybe if I just keep thinking, keep hurting, somehow things will shift. But they don't. The only thing that shifts is how drained you become. Ordinary people think acceptance means giving up. But the Stoics understood, acceptance is the first step toward freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, welcome whatever comes and love it as if you had chosen it. Acceptance is not defeat. Acceptance is an active choice to stop fighting what you can't control so you can focus fully on what you can. Imagine you're rowing through a vast ocean, a storm rolls in, waves pound. You can't command the storm to stop, but you can adjust your course, pull in the sails, steady your balance. If you stand up and scream at the wind, you'll be swept away. But if you accept the storm as part of the sea, you can learn to navigate through it. Epictetus said, it's not the events themselves that hurt us, but how we interpret them. Losing your job, that's a fact. Telling yourself, I'm worthless because I lost it, that's your interpretation. Shift it to, this is a chance to start something I truly want. And the pain changes shape. Acceptance doesn't change the situation. It changes you. And once you change, the situation no longer holds power over you. So how do you practice the Stoic wisdom of acceptance? 1. Apply the control map. Write down something that's weighing on you. Split it into 2 columns. What I can control, actions, attitude, choices. What I can't control, weather, others, the past. Then commit to act only in the first column. For the rest, breathe deeply and let go. 2. Use the tool of amor fati, love of fate. Seneca wrote, "Do not just endure fate, love it." Every morning ask yourself, what might happen today that I won't like? How can I welcome it instead of resisting it? 3. Pause before reacting. Observe before resisting. When something frustrates you, pause for 10 seconds. Ask, can I change this? If yes, take action. If no, breathe, step back, and accept it as a part of life. Marcus Aurelius, a man who carried an empire on his shoulders, wrote in Meditations, "Receive every event as part of the whole. They don't come to harm you. They come at the right time to train you." Acceptance means you stop wasting energy fighting reality and start investing it in what you can shape: your mindset, your choices, your way of being. No one is stronger than the person who knows when to accept. No one is freer than the one unchained from the past and untied from expectations. And no one lives more truly than the one who says, I don't choose my circumstances, but I do choose my response. Part 9. Neither fast nor slow. The Stoic walk never stops. Have you ever felt like you're falling behind the world? Everyone else seems to be rising, getting promoted, buying homes, getting married, having kids, hitting millions of views, landing magazine covers. And you're still trying every single day, but with nothing big to show. And you start wondering, am I too slow? Am I being left behind? But you've forgotten something vital. Life is not a race. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not hurry. Let each action be done with calm, clarity, and consistency, as if it were the last act of your life." Stoicism never glorified the loud breakthrough. The Stoics don't run, they walk, but they walk steadily without stopping. Because they know strength is not forged in speed, it's shaped in consistency. Picture a single drop of water falling on stone every day. After 1 year, nothing. After 10 years, still the same. But after 30 years, the stone has a perfect round hollow. Not because the drop was powerful, but because it never stopped. You are the same. Success doesn't come from rare bursts of inspiration. It comes from small, repeated steps, taken in silence every day. Seneca once said, "We are not defeated by the long road, but by not starting or not continuing." The reason you feel like you're falling behind isn't because you're lacking. It's because you've been led to believe that success has to be fast, loud, or big. But to the Stoics, success is reading 5 pages today, even when no one's watching, getting up on time, even when no one tells you to, saying no to the trivial to protect what truly matters. No one applauds those moments, but they're the quiet bricks that build your character. 3 ways to practice the unstopping step, the Stoic way. 1. Practice the unbroken chain. Grab a calendar. Mark a check mark for every day you maintain one small habit: 5 minutes of meditation, journaling, reading. The only goal, don't break the chain. No need to speed up, just keep going. 2. Separate action from emotion. Epictetus taught, do not wait for inspiration to act. Action is a duty, not a preference. You're tired today, you don't feel like it, but if it matters, do it anyway. Allow yourself to do it poorly as long as you don't quit. 3. Redefine victory. Victory isn't beating anyone else. Victory is taking one more step today, even a tiny one, choosing not to give up. Write it down. I didn't stop today. And feel the quiet pride rising inside your chest. You don't need speed. You need consistency. You don't need to break records. You need to keep your promise to yourself. You're not moving to prove anything. You're moving so you don't betray the person you're becoming. Part 10. The wise care only about what they can control. Have you ever felt drained by something, only to realize you couldn't change it anyway? You worry about what others think of you. You suffer over the past. You're upset because of bad weather, an unfair boss, or a message left unread. You pour your energy into trying to fix what's not in your hands, and then wonder why you feel lost, helpless. Epictetus warned us more than 2,000 years ago. Freedom and happiness begin when you understand. Some things are not yours, and you shouldn't waste yourself on them. This is the core of Stoic philosophy. Distinguish what you can control from what you can't. If you want inner stability, you have to learn how to draw mental boundaries. This I can control, I act. This I can't, I release with calm. Picture yourself walking in a heavy rainstorm. You can curse the skies, get mad at the clouds, get soaked and blame the universe. Or you can open your umbrella, find shelter, walk carefully, and accept the rain as part of the journey. The wise choose the second. They know they can't control the storm, but they can control how they respond to it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Always remember you have the power to have no opinion, and that is true freedom. The world will always be filled with things you cannot change. Other people's behavior, the impermanence of life, the past, random thoughts that appear in your mind. You don't need to control these. You only need to choose your response, and that is your highest power, no matter how chaotic the world becomes." 3 Stoic tools to practice. Focusing only on what you control. 1. The 2 circles exercise. Draw 2 concentric circles. Inner circle, what you can control, actions, words, thoughts, choices. Outer circle, what you can't control, opinions, outcome, circumstances. When anxiety hits, ask, which circle am I in? If it's the outer one, pause, breathe, return to action in the inner one. Second practice, letting go with the Stoic question. When stressed, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, write it down. I do not control this, and I choose to let it go. Third, train inner control. Every morning before your day begins, write, what will I control today? What will I let go of today? Seneca reminded us, people suffer not from what happens, but from how they interpret it, and that interpretation is always yours to rewrite. Every second you spend trying to control the uncontrollable is a second you lose yourself. But every moment you focus on your actions, your values, your choices, you take full ownership of your life. You cannot make the world run your way, but you can govern yourself the Stoic way, with calm, with clarity, with boundaries, and with direction. Part 11. Your only rival is who you were yesterday, and why that's more than enough for greatness. Have you ever looked at someone and thought, I'll never be as good as them? They've achieved so much, they speak with confidence, they live a life that feels beyond you, and you shrink. You doubt yourself. You feel painfully ordinary. In those moments, you forget one crucial truth, a truth Stoicism has whispered for thousands of years. The only person you ever need to surpass is who you were yesterday. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful emperor of Rome, wrote this reminder to himself. Don't waste time looking at other people's lives. Look within. That's where mastery begins. Not to become better than someone, but to become truer, stronger, brighter, bit by bit, day by day. Imagine a long journey through the forest. You carry a heavy backpack. filled with fear, doubt, past failures. You take one step, then another, and behind you trails the version of you from yesterday, weaker, more unsure. With each step forward, you leave an older version behind. No fireworks, no applause. But you're winning in silence. That's the stoic kind of greatness. No fanfare, just honesty and growth. Seneca once said, as long as you are improving, even just a little each day, you're headed in the right direction. No one is born perfect, but everyone can become better with awareness, discipline, and persistence. The greatest danger isn't losing to others. It's stopping and telling yourself, this is all I'll ever be. That's when the mind shuts down. You stop learning, stop challenging yourself, stop renewing who you are. And that's when you begin to lose, not to someone else, but to the you of yesterday. How to live this truth every day. 3 practices to be better than you were one. Record. One thing I did better than yesterday. Each night, write down one small action. I didn't react in anger today. I read 3 more pages. I said no to a bad habit. Seeing your progress feeds a healthy motivation from within. 2. Replace "Am I as good as them?" with "What have I improved?" When insecurity creeps in, stop comparing. Ask instead, what's different in me today compared to yesterday? There will always be an answer if you're living with intention. 3. Create a personal upgrade list. Write down 3 areas you want to grow in over the next 30 days. Your health, your emotions, your knowledge, your habits. Do one small action each day for one of them. Not perfection, just progress. Epictetus said, there's no need to announce your transformation, just change. The silence of action speaks louder than words. You don't need to do it all today. Just take one more step than you did yesterday. You don't need to be great. You just need not to stop. Because greatness doesn't come from where you're going. Greatness comes from choosing to grow, even when no one sees, even when no one claps. Final chapter. Living like a Stoic means you don't need to prove anything. By now you've probably realized this hasn't just been a conversation about philosophy. It's been a conversation about a way of life. Stoicism wasn't born to sit in books. It was born to be lived every day, every moment, especially in the most ordinary situations. When you're angry, but choose calm. When you want to quit, but choose to endure. When you feel less than others, but stay focused on your own path. No rituals, no dogma, just awareness that you always have a choice in how you respond. And every time you make that choice, you're living like a Stoic. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations to become a quote on a poster. He wrote to speak to himself, to remind himself how to live. Epictetus didn't teach to win followers. He taught so each person could become truly free, in thought and in character. Seneca didn't write letters to inspire. He wrote to save others and to save himself from the deep tides of desire and fear. And now, you carry the same fire, not to impress, but to endure, not to dominate, but to master yourself, not to prove, but simply to live. And you, if you've made it this far, you're already walking that path. You don't need to be an emperor. You don't need to write a manifesto. You just need to live a little better than you did yesterday, and that alone is enough to be great. You don't need to prove anything. Your presence, if it comes from inner depth, already makes a difference. In a noisy world, the one who knows when to be silent becomes magnetic. In a competitive society, the one who doesn't compare becomes the most trustworthy. In an age obsessed with speed, The one who moves steadily every single day goes the furthest. So if you want to live like a Stoic, you don't have to begin with a vow. Begin with what is small but true. Write one line each morning. Today I choose one Stoic virtue to practice. Calm, honesty, perseverance, acceptance. Before bed, ask yourself, how did I respond today? Am I better than I was yesterday? When facing difficulty, remember, I cannot control everything, but I can always control myself. No one will applaud your calmness when insulted. No one will cheer when you choose persistence over complaint. There's no medal for holding your tongue when you could win an argument. But that is the beauty of Stoicism. It's quiet, it's steady, it is stone solid in a world of turbulence. And one day someone will look at you and ask, how are you so at peace? You won't need to say much. Just smile and think to yourself, because I chose to master myself. You don't need to chase recognition. You just need to know this. Every day you live by your ideals is a day you lived right. One final act, gentle but powerful. Write down one thing you will do differently starting today. A small act, but born from self-awareness. If you want to go deeper, rewrite your own definition of living well, not borrowed, not copied. And every day, live by that definition in how you walk, how you answer, how you stay silent, how you love. Because the world doesn't need more people who succeed just to be seen. The world needs more people who are at peace on the inside, who live right, even when no one is watching. You are that person, and Stoicism is your compass, your route, your quiet flame to carry you forward. If you're ready, whisper to yourself, I don't need to become someone else. I just need to live true to myself each day, and that is enough to live greatly.